Hello! So in this video, we are going to talk about how to write a DBQ for Apush. The first thing a student should do when writing a DBQ is to read the prompt carefully. And you should definitely read the prompt multiple times so you can fully understand the question, because obviously you cannot write a DBQ without fully understanding the question and completely answering it correctly. So after you read the prompt multiple times, you have to find the historical thinking skill. And if it's effectiveness, you have to clearly state if it was or wasn't effective. If it's compare and contrast, do both comparing and contrasting. And if it's analyzing, don't AMSCO, describe why the events are important in their relation to other events. So after you do this, you need to read all of the documents given, and then you need to hit them all, which they are all placed in chronological order, and you need to ask yourself every single time, why are these documents included, and what is the purpose of each one, and what outside information can connect to each document. Look at the author for hints to related outside information and historical context clues. Example, if a DBQ had a prompt of the reasons for U.S. involvement in World War II between 1920 and 1939, and why the United States shifted its foreign policy, the first document could be from 1920, with a document from President Warren G. Harding. And nowhere in the document does it say his famous slogan of return to normalcy, but it is very valuable outside information that can be used because of the author's name that connects to the prompt, but wasn't directly stated in the document. Include all the documents you are given, and if not, include at least 6 out of 7 documents, because each has a purpose and is there for a reason and can definitely help make your DBQ stronger with evidence. Remember, when citing a document, you do not just simply say and document whatever you're trying to refer to. You simply write it, you simply talk about whatever you're trying to prove in the beginning, and at the end, you put in parentheses the document with a period at the end. After you have analyzed the documents, you are ready to begin writing the essay. Remember, be quick, don't hurry. You have 60 minutes in total for the intro paragraph. You should start off with about 2 to 3 sentences in contextualization. And it is basically the cause of the cause and sets the stage to what your essay is about, and it guides you into your thesis. Your essay should be about 5 to 4 paragraphs in total, which is about 2 to 3 body paragraphs. 3 especially if your essay talks about political, social, and economic aspects. The thesis is then after your context and is always somewhere between 1 to 2 sentences. There are basically 2 different ways to write a thesis. You can have a thesis that can be written X, however, A, B, and C, therefore, Y. Or you can have, although X, Y, because A, B, C. There are basically 2 different ways to write a thesis. You can have a thesis that can be written X, however, A, B, and C, therefore, Y. Or you can have, although X, Y, because A, B, C. For example, if you had a prompt of analyze the impact of getting a driver's license in a teenage life, that would be a causation, historical thinking skill. The X is the counter, so parents get nervous. The B and C are reasons, so independence, responsibility, and fun. And the Y is what you're trying to prove, so getting a driver's license greatly changes the life as a teenager. So the thesis would look something like, getting a driver's license may not cause, for example, if you had a prompt of analyze the impact of getting a driver's license on a teenager's life, it would be a causation historical thinking skill of a thesis. The X is the counter, so parents could get nervous, and the A, B, and C's are reasons, so independence, responsibility, and fun, and the Y is what you're trying to prove, so getting a driver's license greatly changes the life as a teenager. So if you were to write the thesis, it would look something like, getting a driver's license may cause many parents of teens stress. However, it is a chance for teenagers to gain independence, prove they are responsible, and access new opportunities. Consequently, getting a driver's license can be a life-changing experience for a teenager. Body paragraphs begin each body paragraph with a topic sentence, but you have to make sure that this topic sentence always connects to the thesis, and use plenty of concepts within bodies that relates to the documents and proves your thesis. And if you can keep asking yourself why or because you're not writing enough and you need to prove your thesis more. So make sure that you define the concepts in terms of the thesis and their relevance and what you're and you need to make sure that when you're talking about them, you do not just simply summarize them like ants go. And you need to reference the documents like I stated earlier, but never quote the documents. You always write in past tense and write in third person. Do a specific HIP analysis of the documents being used inside of your body paragraphs. To conclude, for your conclusion paragraph, this is when you're going to add your synthesis. And there are two different ways a student can get the synthesis point. Basically, you can do the first way by comparing what you're talking about to a different time period, but still making it relevant, or approach to history that does not focus is not the focus of your essay. So, for example, if you were talking about the political and economic aspects in your essay, you may bring in social aspects at the conclusion to get this. To conclude, for your conclusion paragraph, this is when you're going to add your synthesis. And there are two different ways a student can get the synthesis point. Basically, you can do the first way by comparing what you're talking about to a different time period, but still making it relevant, or approach to history that does not focus is not the focus of your essay. So, for example, if you were talking about the political and economic aspects in your essay, you may bring in social aspects at the conclusion to get the synthesis point. So that is basically how you write an Apush DBQ in order to get all of the 7 possible points. That is basically how to write a DBQ, and remember, we are all aiming for that 6 on that DBQ.